Thank you very much, Dr. Alan Kaddish, for such an informative presentation. And now it gives me great pleasure to introduce Ms. Shirley Blaier-Stein, autism mom. She's done a tremendous amount of work on highlighting what exactly autism is, being a mother of a child of autism. She's basically going to do a presentation unlocking the potential of children with autism. Shirley, welcome. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Ms. Ugoji, Eze, and your foundation for this event and for making the world a better place for children and people with autism, and for including me in the conversation and allowing me to bring my son Dan's voice. When parents receive a diagnosis of autism for their child, that usually shatters their world. Think of it. You think your child is perfect, and then you're told they're really not. And because you don't know anything about autism, you believe them. I felt hopeless and helpless. Doctors and professionals who we do have here in the United States did not provide hope, and I ended up having to pave the path to healing of my son Dan on my own. I'd like to share with you the highlights of my journey to unlock my child's potential. After the diagnosis, my biggest challenge was getting into Dan's head, knowing how he's thinking and feeling. He was nonverbal, and I knew he experienced the world differently, hearing things I cannot hear, like hearing his newborn sister cry a lot before we, the parents, could hear her, and seeing things differently. I was determined to know how he was experiencing the world, so I can help him. As part of my plan not to leave a rock untouched, and sorting through every therapy, treatment, and intervention out there, I found a healer, someone who used to be severely autistic, and he was healed when he was 11. I wanted to know what he was experiencing when he had autism. My healer taught me that autism is a language that most people do not understand. And he promised me that if I cleared the channel between me and Dan, and he meant clearing anger, frustration, and fear, and all the other negative feelings I had after receiving the diagnosis, I will find a way to help Dan. It was important that I take the steps to understand Dan and speak his language and not try to pull him into our world. When I started listening to Dan, really tune in, I saw how much of our world he does understand in a much deeper level than us, the regular people. There was that time we went to the beach when he was 6, and he identified a teenager who used to have autism and did everything he could to make me go and talk to her mother. He went on stepping on their towels, filling them with sand, followed them to the water and playing too close, until I joined and I could hear the story, received the hope that I needed. It was then that I knew that Dan knows so much more than meets the eye, and I realized I needed to find a way for others to see it, so he can connect to the world in a way that everyone would understand him. Now, figuring the path to the right education is one of the most important things for our children. Because each one is different, they require different ways of teaching. Dan responded well to behavior therapy, ABA, that we just heard about, to special education, to occupational therapy and speech therapy. He made great strides. Yet it was only recently when we added another method that helped unlock his intellectual abilities. It is a method that works around the sensory challenges that are common to a lot of people with autism, and it enables them to use spelling and typing to convey their thoughts and ideas. Just a few weeks after I started using this method by myself at home, after observing the woman who created the method and other professionals work with Dan, I did a simple lesson, that's how you start, about the Northeast United States. When the lesson got to Washington, the atlas I was using stated, the White House is in Washington, D.C. I'm not sure what came over me, but I asked Dan, who lives in the White House? An open-ended question that was not directly about something I have just stated. Dan spelled on the letterboard, President. Trying to hide the excitement, I felt my voice slightly shaking. I went on, Dan, what's the president's name? And he spelled Obama. Now, he was never taught that by anyone. See, our kids know so much. Since then, we have taught Dan about the government, the legal system, science, art, math, and so much more. And he's eager to learn more and more. Last summer, when I visited my country, Israel, I had the privilege to visit a unique program like no other in the world. A program that trains people with autism for a special job in the military. What's very special about this program is how the Israeli military is working to break the stigma. In Israel, every 18-year-old girls and boys are drafted and serve in the military, and unfortunately, until now, people with autism were exempt. Another thing that's special is how the youngsters with autism are trained for an elite intelligence unit, for a job that utilizes their special talent, their unique visual abilities, and attention to details, something that comes with their autism. They are taught how to decipher satellite images. Now, no offense to the typical soldiers in the unit, but the soldiers with autism typically learn the job much faster and also operate at much faster rates. I had the privilege of meeting with a group of soldiers during their training, and the one thing they all said to me was how excited they felt to be included, to be given a chance. The military service is a platform for social and professional relations in every Israeli person's future, and until now, they did not have access to it. When I interviewed them for an article, after answering all my questions, these guys only wanted to talk about Dan. How is he doing? What does he like? How does he communicate with us? They told me when they themselves started talking and what was hard for them as kids. Now, they tell us that people with autism do not have the social skills. These guys were so empathetic and sensitive and knew exactly what to ask and what to say to me. They encouraged me that I'm doing a good job with Dan and that he will be talking to me really soon. This was during the summer of 2015. And you know what, guys? You were right, because yes, he is communicating with me now. This brings me to tell you about the other piece that helped unlock my son, and that is being included in society. Our family was very lucky to be introduced to an organization called the Friendship Circle. Like the name, this organization offers friendship, something very rare in cases of children with autism. Soon after we joined, Dan had a place to go on weekends, where he felt welcome, where he actually was the celebrity, where he had a typical friend, Doron, open the door for him with a smile and hang out with him during a day filled with fun activities such as sports, music, and cooking. When Dan knew there was a place he felt welcome and accepted, it helped him open up to the world even more. When our family felt accepted and supported, it encouraged us even more to go out there into the community with Dan, to celebrate Dan, just like he was celebrated at the Friendship Circle. It's very important for each country, each society, to teach peers to treat our children right, work on awareness, and stop the teasing and the bullying. Now, the main person who can do the unlocking of our children are the parents. The education and therapy is crucial. The acceptance in society is key. Yet the person or persons who are the closest to the child and spend the most time with him are the parents. As a mom of a special, gifted, magical child with autism, whom I once viewed as a big challenge, and not that we are out of the woods yet, we still have a lot of work to do together, I will tell you that because I took this as my mission, because I changed my life path so I could learn everything I could, get myself empowered, and help him the way he needed, we are where we are today. Moms, dads, please work through the hardship. Look beyond. Find ways to see the beauty in your children. Find the purpose of why they are with you and create a path for them to grow. Don't count on others to do it for you. Even the best school cannot do what you can do for your child. Have teachers and therapists and helpers around you, but be the team leader that your child deserves. Last week, Dan did a lesson with his therapist, Melanie, about Presidential Medals of Freedom, awarded by the President of the United States to civilians. The last question in the lesson was, if you were the president and you could award a Medal of Freedom to someone, who would it be? Dan wrote, Mom. See, your child is going to recognize everything you're doing for him and appreciate it. As a society, it's our responsibility to support the families, the communities, and the education system to help unlock our children's potential. They each have a gift, and when we expose it, these brilliant children could contribute to societies in ways we can't even imagine. Thank you very much.